Kimba, you tantalizing temptress in the wonderfully tight t-shirt. Kimba, baby.
Hi, Kimba.
Hello, me Kimba, radio broadcast episode 17, Fame. This one, I put the question to you. Who do you think is the most famous person that I have interviewed? Because I'm often asked that question, and it is quite subjective. Sometimes it's really who is your favorite person. It's not necessarily that they're the most famous. I get all that. So I came up with 4 people in a music category and 4 people who would fall into the actor celebrity category. So the 4 people in music: Barbra Streisand, Paul McCartney, B.B. King, Prince. For the acting and celebrity world: Jane Fonda, Jack Hanna, Henry Winkler, and Sybil Shepherd. And it was hard to do, to narrow it down to 4, because I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people or interview a lot of people in person, over the phone. And I just tried to narrow it down who might be a little more worldwide famous. And you voted. And while the actor celebrity category was extremely close, extremely tight, the music category was kind of a runaway with the top 2. And I will talk about the top 2 vote getters in each category. So the second most votes in the actor celebrity category was Jane Fonda. Now on Grace and Frankie on Netflix. This interview came about because one of her books was being released on paperback. This is from June 22nd, 2012. And she is on the line. Academy Award-winning actress, activist, aerobicizer, author, Miss Fonda.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. You're very chipper.
I am very chipper. That's because we just won the NBA championship, so we're a little excited around here.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I didn't do it personally, but Your New York Times bestseller, Primetime, Love, Health, Sex, Fitness, Friendship, Spirit, Making the Most of All Your Life, now a Random House trade paperback. What women can learn from reading this book?
Yeah, men really like it, too, for somewhat different reasons. They go right to the sex chapters. Aging doesn't have to be what we used to think it was. When you're born, you peak at midlife and decline into decrepitude. It can, in fact, be like ascending a staircase.
You can ascend into pulchritude.
Pulchritude, wisdom, enlightenment.
Or you're just a throbbing vat of good advice.
Well, maybe it's because I've spent
a good deal of time in the trenches.
Eventually, with age and with some accumulation of wisdom, you become that 10-year-old again who says, I'll have what I want.
As an author, but especially as a woman, what is your take on the 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon?
Oh, I'm just so happy that it's out there. I think it's so great that women, it's a turn-on. It's sexy. It's not the best writing in the world, but who cares? Take that being turned on into your relationships.
So you're cool with the furry cuffs, then?
Well, it's not my trip, but everybody's... Because I thought maybe I'd write my own.
I was going to say, do you ever consider, now that you've seen how that's worked out, writing your own?
Well, I've thought about it, but mine, I've read real ones. This one is a kind of a easygoing one.
Half the calories. Yeah. Gotcha. Jane Fonda, Primetime. It's a great read.
Thank you.
I hope you don't mind. I've been waiting to say this. You, Jane, me, Kimba. Thank you, Miss Jane Fonda.
Thank you.
But if she felt that strongly about 50 Shades, imagine her discussing WAP. Too soon? The second most votes in the music category was Prince. Such a huge fan of Prince. Unfortunately, I have no pictures, and I only met him. I didn't get to interview him. I will forget my own name before I will forget that I met Prince. Originally, I didn't remember what the actual event. I knew it was some radio thing, but luckily, a friend of mine, thanks, Richard, he posted the invite. So there was probably about, I want to say, 1,000 people, maybe. And when he did perform, I pushed and I shoved my way up to that stage. So the stage was a little higher, and he kept walking by, and his pants were so tight. It was delicious. I say we because it was several of my coworkers were invited to do a meet and greet after the show. This is the time, though, when he was going by the unpronounceable symbol. The symbol was from 1993 to 1999. He was the artist formerly known as Prince, or the artist, and then he signed with Arista in 98, but he didn't start going by Prince again until 2000. So it was close, because this was October 9th of 1999, but the longer we're waiting in line, the more nervous I'm getting, because I'm thinking, what am I going to say to Prince? I adore this man. My favorite song is I Want to Be Your Lover. It's one of his first, and it's still one of my favorite. What am I going to say to this man when I finally am standing in front of him, his beautiful face? Finally, he comes out with Clive, So they're standing there. Oh my God. And the line starts moving. And the gentleman in front of me was an older gentleman. I want to say 60s, more likely 70s, an older guy. All of my colleagues, I happen to be first in line. I probably might have shoved my way there too, just in case he changed his mind. The older gentleman gets to Prince, says something, and Prince gives him the biggest smile and then hugs him, and they're laughing and chit-chatting, and I'm thinking, oh, wow, what? And I'm still have no idea what I'm going to say to him. You know, I just don't want to walk in through and go, I love you. Guy walks away. I'm now standing in front of Prince, and I just went, what he said. Because I figured if that got a hug and a smile, what he said. Well, Prince misunderstood me and thought I said, what did he say? I would never be so rude as to, hey, what was your private conversation with this guy about? But he thought I said, what did he say? And he was not offended. He proceeded to lean into me. He put his right hand on my left shoulder and then leaned in and had his mouth right on my ear. And he said, he told me he would never disrespect me by calling me by my former name. I'm sure I mumbled something or nodded and was like, that's great. I know I didn't say a whole lot, but because I'm like, Prince has his hands on me and he's whispering in my ear. And then he kind of gave me a little hug, and I went over to Clive. Well, apparently this wasn't common for him to have that kind of reaction, because Clive, he's like, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Because I guess he figured, oh, well, if Prince had that reaction to her, once our group cycled through, they were all like, Kimba, what did you say to him? Oh my God, he hugged me. He was just like, shook hands with us and be on your way. And it was really all based on Prince mistaking what I was trying to say, but I'll take it. Now we move on to number one, the number one pick for the most, according to you, your votes for the favorite famous actor or celebrity. And that would be Henry Winkler in Barry, Arrested Development, Royal Pains, Monty, The Water Boy. He writes children's books, sure. And then the iconic Fonzie. This was July 1st, 2006. I introduced him as sometimes author and one time Arthur, and he really enjoyed that introduction. Here it is, July 1st, 2006, with Henry Winkler. Henry Winkler is here, and this is one of those moments, if you had told me way back when I was a kid watching Happy Days that years later I'd be sitting across from the actor who made Fonzie, I would have said, oh, sure. And one day I won't have to get up to change the channel on the TV. So this is a very cool moment.
Thank you.
All the way around.
Thank you for me, too. We worked really hard just to make the show funny every single week, so that every time it went on the air, that we never took for granted that we were a hit. We never took for granted that it was going to work. Even it went for 11 years. So we had a great time together, but mostly we were all business, and the business of being funny, it's very difficult to make something really funny.
So it's not as easy as it looks.
No,
then.
It is not. There's a famous phrase that dying is hard, comedy is harder. It is by far the more difficult of the two, of drama and comedy. And yet drama is the one that always gets the fanfare.
Mm-hmm. And you find yourself more drawn to the comedy.
Yes, it is so much fun to make people laugh. When you actually get to that moment, when you hear the audience really go for the joke, it is just, it's like heaven. It's like nirvana. It's
kind of akin to the rock star being on the stage with all the people singing along the songs.
If there is such a thing as reincarnation, I would like to come back as Axl Rose.
I would like to come back as Steven Tyler's harmonica.
Really?
So we have that in common.
That is a great image.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, you cutie pie.
And I picture it every so often.
Yes.
And yeah, sure.
You know what? That really tickles me.
But that is my goal.
Okay.
And I'm working hard toward it. Yes.
We can pretend.
Sure, we can.
Funny.
I don't know if this makes a difference or not now in television, because I've read that you were 28 when you got the role
yes, that is true.
of Fonz.
I was 10 years older than Ron Howard, and Ron Howard was about 90 years wiser than I've ever been.
But you were supposed to be considered teenagers, all of you, even though you were...
I was the oldest teenager in captivity.
In captivity.
Good genes.
You sure did.
Yeah.
They were rather tight. But,
now they're Levi's. He catapulted me, the Fonz catapulted me onto the world stage. Was knighted by the government of France. My star is on Hollywood Boulevard. My jacket is in the Smithsonian with my lunchbox. Pretty amazing if you think about it. I'm overwhelmed.
Hearing about you, meeting you, everybody here, all giddy. They're with glee.
People treat me with great warmth. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I love my job.
As of late, you've been working with Stockard Channing's one of the coolest, Rizzo on Grease, and I know there's that.
But she's cool because she's just a great dame.
In that movie, that's what we girls got.
Yeah,
Even though
right.
she was technically supposed to be the bad girl,
Right.
there was something about her. And I understand that you were offered the role of Danny.
I was
in
offered
Grease.
the role of Danny, and smart enough to turn it down. John Travolta went on to buy a plane, and I got some ice cream.
And all you got was this lousy T-shirt.
Yeah.
We'll have to put in a call to him about that. That's just not right.
No.
So how do you deal with fans on the street when they see you and they come up? And obviously, they could say all kinds of different things to you
You know
because
what?
you've done so many things.
The truth of the matter is that it's generational, because there's a group of people that call me the Fonz. There's a group of kids that talks to me about Waterboy. There's a group of kids that talk to me about the books, Hank Zipser, the world's greatest underachiever. My partner Lynn Oliver and I have written now 10 novels in this series of this little boy who finds out on the first day of 4th grade that he has learning challenges. And he's very funny and very resourceful.
So you've done the films
Yes.
and the Happy Days series.
I have a
and
new film with Adam Sandler. Again, I play his father. Julie Kavner, the voice of Marge on The Simpsons, plays my wife. And it's called Click.
For those who haven't seen it, can you give a brief description?
It is Adam's version of It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, my God. I can't even imagine what that would be.
Yeah,
Is it a little twisted?
Well, it's
little
twisted,
twisted.
and he's a genius.
Yes, he's a very funny guy.
Yeah.
Isn't it the greatest thing to be able to do what you love
Oh,
for a
my
living?
goodness. And, less than 1% of the population actually gets to do what it is they want to do.
I always say this is better than a real job.
Absolutely.
So I know what you're saying there.
And I'll tell you something. That is one of the things that that people say to me. So what do you say to people who want to be in your business? Here it is. You have greatness in you. I don't know what that is, but it is your job to figure out what your gift is. Dig it out of your center and then give it to the world as a gift. And especially children who have learning challenges. 1 out of 5 kids has some sort of learning challenge, and their self-image is damaged. They believe that they're not as smart or not as good as, the other kids who are achieving. And to those children, I say, you especially have greatness in you. And there is more than one road to success. You don't have to know geometry in order to become a great whatever it is you can do.
Well, hug my hypotenuse. That's the
Hello.
only geometry I know.
No,
That's-
but you know what? Your hypotenuse is hot.
Thank you. And your isosceles isn't so bad either.
Oh, I'm just one big triangle waiting for you.
Well, at least we're geometrically correct. Can you explain executive producer? I mean, people
All right, it's
hear that
different.
term all the time. What do you do? What does it mean?
Executive producer on television is different than an executive producer on a movie. In television is the last word. He runs the show. It is very important for an executive producer to be able to write. There are now very few executive producers who are just producers and not writers.
Okay, so it's kind of a multitask thing going on.
In the
now.
movies, it is more of a director's medium. The director is God, and the executive producer usually found the material. It's just a title.
You've done directing as well.
I have. Here's my metaphor.
Yes.
Producing is like holding sand in your arms. You never stop the drip. You never solve the problems. Directing, you try to get all that sand into one box so that you get everyone going in the same direction. As an actor, I get to play in the sand.
All right. And what a nice sandbox it is.
Oh, my
to be
goodness. For
playing
me,
in.
it is.
I realize it was 30 years ago. How do you feel about the fact that, Sit on It and Nerd at the time were these powerful put-downs, and now...
That was part of the job, and I never said nerd, and I hardly said sit on it. That was usually Potsy.
Just when it was really necessary.
Yeah. Mostly I said A. I made a noise.
A vowel movement, as we
Yeah.
like to call it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
I went, whoa.
Yeah.
When I had a really good
of course,
movement.
because if not, you'll get consonnated.
Yes.
How do you feel about the term jumping the couch?
I heard jumping the shark, but I've never heard of
it
jumping
kind of
the cat.
overtook jumping the shark.
Well, see, jumping the shark to me is a non-issue because we were number one for 6 years after I jumped the shark. The guy made, he made money and he made a board game and a
you
book.
made more.
I might have.
Can't thank you enough for being here.
You know what? This was an absolute pleasure.
I'm going to try it and see if it works.
What?
Well, you know how the Fonz would hit the jukebox or the light switch to get it to work?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to start the next thing that's supposed to come up. So
What happened? Yes.
No, I don't know. I hit the wrong place.
But you are
apparently.
adorable.
Ow, broke
Thank
something.
you.
All right. And you can hear why he's still so loved. He's a very, very sweet, lovely gentleman. Voted the most famous person I've met or interviewed, and I kind of knew this was going to be the guy, Paul McCartney. Sure, Beatles, Wings. First, I met his publicists, Jeff Baker and Paul Freundlich. We were broadcasting live from what was the National Car Rental Center, now the BB&T Center, and I was sitting in the van, and they came to the van and sat in the van with me and did this interview. I'll play a bit of it.
Aside from having a child, this is probably the most glorious experience of your life. So
And you've had a
can-
child?
I've had loads of children.
Okay, I was just wondering.
And he
Is that an
and he
offer?
looks good, doesn't he?
It is, as a matter. Will
Is
you
it?
have my baby,
Absolutely.
Jeff? Thank you
In
so
this
much.
van.
Very close quarters here, so you know.
We're in the back of a van.
We can do it.
Can we do that if this
We
van's
can.
a rockin'?
Yeah.
I'm getting taken care of more than I ever thought
You will.
possible,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you're having babies in the back of vans here.
Yeah. I mean, the joke of the whole thing, and I'm not talking about you, but but no, the joke of the
You
joke.
can tell we know each other
Yeah,
well.
We're having children here.
It's pretty elaborate
You're
production.
also looking at 36 songs in a 2.5-hour show, 21 of which are Beatles songs, 10 of which are Wings hits. You know, this is the songs from the soundtrack from your life. If you've had a life, it's the soundtrack of your life.
And I'm about to make a life with you, Jeff, aren't I?
We are.
Paul, you had mentioned to me with 21 Beatles songs, they didn't really do that many Beatles songs as Beatles because their
no, they
sets were a
didn't.
lot shorter.
That's right.
So you're going to hear more Beatles songs from a Beatle
More Beatles than the Beatles.
Yeah.
themselves.
How can you beat that? You know?
And I understood that.
And
which
a
is
baby thrown in.
That's right.
There's also a couple of songs in there that he hasn't done live ever. You know, Hello Goodbye, Getting Better. I guess he wrote in '67.
Mother Nature's Son.
Yeah. We're in a van somewhere.
Down by the river.
You're going to fall in love with the reasons why you fell in love in the first place.
And you're going to know while all that's happening that Jeff and I are.
Making babies.
That's, you can be the understudy.
Yeah.
The
You won't need
or the,
that.
Or the stunt
Oh,
double.
the stand-in. For whom?
You know, whichever works.
Now that's a show you don't want to miss, right?
Paul McCartney's publicist. And I think that maybe I had to interview them to see if I passed muster to get Paul on the line. I'm not really sure why I interviewed them. And then soon Paul was going to be, now, you know, he's been knighted. You don't bring knighted people out to a van. Even though he was in town, he was staying at the Turnberry Isle Resort and Club, but he's not going to come out to sit in the van. Little background here. He was engaged at the time of this interview to Heather Mills. And it was right around, I think the only reason we know where he was staying, because it was right around the time of this interview that she had lost her engagement ring, and they didn't find it till a few days later in the bushes under the balcony of the suite they were staying in. And there were all rumors that they had some sort of fight, and one of them tossed it out. I guess she would have tossed it out the window, and they say no. So who knows what happened? But in any case, that's around the time that this interview happened. It was the final 2 nights of the Driving USA tour. And Judy T was out there alongside of me, and she just reminded me about this, of the merchandise. So she went over, since I was doing the live broadcast, she went over to the merchandise table to see what they had to offer. And when she came back with the items and the prices, I don't recall what struck me, but there was something on there. I'm like, what? I'm sure you've seen it. If you've been to a show, you go to the merchandise table and there's something that's just really peculiar. Like, do I really need a poison can opener? You know, like some strange item that has the band's logo on it. And if you're a big enough fan, you'd buy it. Wait, one of these days I'll whip out some of the Aerosmith stuff I have. It's like, what? So we started making up, get your Paul McCartney oven mitts and stuff like that. So Judy and I had a great time at the broadcast, and it was a very volatile time kind of behind the scenes, which is another story for another time, but that's what made it so memorable too. And something else happened that I completely forgot until I listened to the interview. You will hear it. It happens at the end of this interview with Paul McCartney from May 17th, 2002.
Hello there.
Hi, is that Kimba?
It is. Well, it's not every day one gets a call from Paul McCartney.
Oh, yeah, it is.
I'm sure you don't often find yourself asking for a Kimba.
How you doing, Kimba?
Kimba is doing very well, and yourself?
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, it's a nice day here.
It certainly is. And these two shows being your last, are you going to spend some quality time with us here in South Florida?
Yeah, we actually just about half an hour ago, we were on the beach.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got to do it. It's not often we get to a beach like this, I must say.
Do you have the sunscreen on, Paul? We don't want you to get burned tonight. It'll hurt.
Yeah, we do all that. We do it right.
Just making sure you're using protection is all.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of sunbathing and exposing parts, in the 2 months of this Driving USA tour, we've learned some interesting things about you.
Oh.
Besides the running and the doing yoga to stay in shape, and that I hear that you like to check out the audience as they're filing in to see you.
I used to do more of that than I'm actually doing on this tour,
So you just get here and go about business.
Yeah, what I'm doing now, like I'm on the way down the freeway. We'll get to the gig, and then we'll do a sound check, and then I do a bunch of things, see a bunch of people backstage.
And then just go on and play for 2.5 hours or so?
Something like that. Yeah, it's good fun. Yeah, we're enjoying it. In fact, with there just being 2 shows left here in Fort Lauderdale, we're getting early withdrawal symptoms.
Well, I've heard you've thought of actually continuing it later in the year.
Yeah, I think I'm going to talk to our guy today about taking the show somewhere else. I'm not sure, yeah.
The show, as I said, is about 2.5, 3 hours long and has gotten rave reviews from everyone, especially celebrities, like anybody from Tony Orlando to Alice Cooper, which are 2 names you don't usually hear side by side. But Alice Cooper said, if you're going to see a show this year, go see McCartney's show, and just raves about the band being amazing as well.
Yeah, we've got a nice band. Well, we all come to play. We all enjoy playing. And, yeah, Alice came to the show we did in Las Vegas. Yeah, he had a great time. He was very sweet with his nice comments. He's a good boy. And he's an excellent golfer.
I was just going to say, you ever play golf with him? I know he loves the golf.
I haven't played with him. Actually, I tell you the truth. The other thing is, actually, I had my first swing of a golf club since I was like a teenager today, because there's a golf course right near where we're staying.
So you've already been to the beach and played golf today?
Yeah, what about that? I mean, it's not exactly played golf. It's like about swinging at a ball for about half an hour, but it was good fun, yeah.
You're already living like a true South Floridian.
Healthy outdoors type today.
I'm supposing you could do the swinging of the golf club with the bare feet, because that's the other thing we've been hearing, how nice your feet are.
You know what happened there, you probably know, was that, like, just one time, I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, Heather, my fiancée, said, wow, you've got nice feet. And oh yeah, really? Because I'd never really looked at them. They're much too far away.
Certainly. And, you can see them on the cover of Driving Rain, and I'm thinking maybe we should have noticed the feet years back on the Abbey Road, but that caused a completely different reaction. We were too busy with that.
Yeah. See, this is it. Yeah, no, exactly. I think all that stuff took away from my feet.
And that's a shame.
She said that. So you know what? I've been whipping my shoes off like a madman. And you will see many photos of me now with shoeless.
We are thoroughly enjoying the McCartney toes. Unless it's true what you said, that some very bad person changed your birth certificate. You'll be 60 next month.
I think someone has changed it. Yeah, I don't know quite what went on there, but it was a long time ago in Liverpool. I think there was a mistake made. Seriously, that is true. Yeah. What about that?
The feet look, like 30?
Sure. I've got 30-year-old feet.
That's it.
That is the secret.
Well, I hope you're planning a huge shindig for the occasion.
I'm going to enjoy myself, that's for sure.
You have been knighted, animated, inducted, made honorary detective of the NYPD. So what, are they going to, canonize you next?
I'm hoping they won't. It's a responsibility.
Yeah, there already is a St. Paul, I think. Or it's a city or something like that.
It's been done.
Well, maybe a superhero.
Oh, that'd be good. They do a film of me climbing up walls.
Exactly. Earlier today, I spoke to Jeff and Paul. I think Jeff and I are going to be having a baby, so that's exciting news.
Jeff is definitely in on tour mode. And he's male and you're female, so that really might well be happening.
That's all that
if
needs
he
to
had
be.
half a chance. Well, I would watch out for him if I were you.
Well, I already survived being alone in the back of a van with him, so I think we're safe.
Okay.
All right, Paul McCartney, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Okay, Kimba, let me say to all your listeners who come into the show, hope we have a great one tonight. We certainly intend to. Hope you do. And the people who can't make the show, hope to see you next time. And lots of love to you all, guys.
And happy birthday and happy nuptials.
Thanks, babe. Bye.
Bye-bye. And what say we, can we play a song right now?
Sure.
Thank you. That's the voice of the person who hung up on Paul McCartney, I believe, twice, but that's okay. We won't give your identity away. Pretty good comedy.
I honestly cannot remember who that was back at the station running the board. I can't really quite place the voice, so you're safe whoever you are. And yes, what do you say to someone who's changed the face of music? You talk to him about his feet. Of course you do. What can I tell you? He seemed to enjoy it. I think it might have veered from what he's normally asked. So yeah, probably. Thank you so much, though. This was fun to go over these, and thank you so much for putting in your votes. And I'm sure down the road, the other interviews will make their way into a story. Thank you for being one of Kimba's Herd, and thanks for listening to Me Kimba Radio Broadcast, Episode 17, Fame. What's your name?
This Kimba's on the radio.
Kimba!